All right, I see our guy in the waiting room. It's time for maybe my favorite segment of the week right here on Bucky and BK. Our man, Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports and ParamountSports.com, joining us for his weekly picks. And this man has been hotter than lava as of late. What's going on, Lee?
I'm good. Can't complain. Finally, we get a college football weekend we've been waiting for. My wife asked me, she said, she wants to hang a bird feeder. So she's like, what time do you have tomorrow? I'm like, between like 6:52 and 7:15.
That's it. That's the schedule for you, huh?
I'm not leaving man cave here.
Let me tell you something. You were hot last week, Lee. And it is early in the football season, but you've got to feel for these teams right from the get. And there are a number of great football games coming up this weekend, including the Texas Longhorns, I believe. I think to start out conference play for the Longhorns is going to be very, very special. I think we've talked about it all week that Steve Sarkisian and this defense also, you're not going to see the same things you've been used to seeing, the teams that you've been playing. These teams aren't here to get beat by you. They're outmanned, they're outgunned. You've got more talent. Your recruiting is now coming to the forefront now. And these teams they're not here to just get rolled. So they're doing things that they've never done before. So You've got to be prepared for if something is off kilter that you haven't seen on film, that you have to go by the rules, the closest to the rules that you have, whether it's on the offensive line, the defensive line, the secondary. But you can't be surprised by people doing things different to you. That's just football.
Yep, I agree. And especially since they're leaving the Big 12. So
yes.
Normally you get a real good shot. Everyone gets up for Texas, just the way it is. So they're going to get up doubly and triply hard, more than they've ever done before. So let's hit on some big games here.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot to get into. You said it, a massive weekend of college and pro football. We've got 5 college games to talk about because it is a great slate tomorrow. Florida State and Clemson, Lee. The Seminoles escaped Boston College last week. Clemson looked awful against Duke. The whole country was watching on Labor Day. This game is in Death Valley. Florida State, a 2-point favorite. Upset alert. How do you see this one going down?
So this is a tough game. These two teams are heavyweights. I think Clemson has rebounded some since that opening night loss against Duke. They had every break went against them in that game. But I still think that Florida State's the better team. I think you discount a little bit on what Boston College did. Boston College had a mobile quarterback, and Boston College gave him some problems. That kid ran around there, and Florida State has had trouble against mobile quarterbacks, but Cade Klubnik is not a mobile quarterback. Just 63 rushing yards in 3 games here. Clemson, this is it. They lose this game, they're done with a conference, done with any type of national championship dreams here. I think Florida State's their receivers are special. I think they're going to come up with one play there, maybe on special teams. That's the difference here. I like Florida State. Tough game, 27-23.
That's a good call, Lee. That's a good diagnosis of those two teams. Now, of course, the game that played down in College Station, Texas A&M versus Auburn. I had asked BK about this Auburn football team, and did he think they've gotten better, over since last year? They kind of remain the same. They're still building in Auburn. And, you've talked to us about Texas A&M, Lee, and talked about how this receiver group has a couple guys that are NFL type of players, and you like this quarterback. What about this run game for Texas A&M? Will they be able to run against Auburn?
I think enough. And, when they played last year, I think they only had one offensive line starter in that game when they lost 13-10. Connor Wegman, he got hit early and often in that game. I think this is a game they've been pointing to. Where I thought Miami was going to be ready for A&M, I think A&M is going to be ready for Auburn here. Connor Wegman, I think, is going to be a starter in the NFL. He's that good with his arm and also making decisions. He wasn't the reason they lost. One of those interceptions, his receiver fell. They had a kick return for a touchdown in that game. Miami was ready here. I think that his receivers, 3 guys, maybe even 4, will be playing at the next level here. This Auburn offense, what are we seeing? They have no offensive identity right now. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have any receivers that scare you here. I think they're still getting used to the offensive system here. And even their defense, no great shake here. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. I like A&M big. Payback is a you-know-what, 37-20.
Sometimes you got to lay it if you're going to play it. I love that. Hey, the game of the day on paper, Lee, the top 10 matchup in South Bend, Ohio State at Notre Dame. The Buckeyes, despite being the road team, 3-point favorites going into South Bend. Who do you like here?
So first real test for both of these two teams. You know, it seems like a lot of these Big Ten teams don't play anyone. But I think in the future, maybe, hopefully, people get the message. Strength of schedule is going to be important once we go to 12 teams in the playoffs. But I think Notre Dame's been waiting for this game since they lost opening game last year. Now, what do you think point-wise? 3, 4, 6, 7, or 10 points? How important do you think that Sam Hartman is compared to last year's quarterback? How many points?
10.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's that good.
I agree. Now, most coaches and most odds makers would tell you 4, 6, or 7. So I think it's 10 or more. Last year, after 3 games, Notre Dame, 3 touchdowns from the quarterbacks, 3 interceptions. This year, 15 touchdowns, no interceptions. Last year for Ohio State, they had 12 touchdowns from C.J. Stroud, no interceptions. This year, pedestrian 7-2 against lackluster competition here. I think home field is important in this game. I think the running backs for Notre Dame are going to get enough. Whenever Ohio State goes up against a power team, nothing special from their defense here. This running back duo for Notre Dame averaging 8.3 and 6.6 yards per carry here. Wrong team's favorite. Notre Dame outright, 28-24. Yep.
I'm going for the Fighting Irish with you there, Lee. I like the Irish. I very seldom ever go with the Irish.
Right.
Being a Boston college guy and a very good Catholic. You know what I'm saying? Those bad Catholics.
Wait, are you saying Notre Dame Catholics are not good Catholics?
Oh, no. Not compared to Boston college Catholics.
I agree.
We're not in the same heavens, if you may.
And I can't stand both teams. If they understand,
wow.
Miami, I mean, playing Notre Dame with Lou Holtz, I mean, threatening he's going to kick Jimmy Johnson's what, and those tussles we had, and then Ohio State when they beat us in the 2002 Fiesta Bowl for the national championship. No love lost. I hope both teams do battle and it ends up in to be honest with you, 2020 tie.
There you go. Good job, Lee. Lee, a game that I'm real interested in.
Yeah.
And this team is on a roll right now. It's the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah.
You know, as we get close enough, just a couple of weeks before Texas and OU play up at the Cotton Bowl, this team is getting primed right now. They're starting to really find their way offensively and playing a Cincinnati group they're not bad, but they're not real good. 14 seems to be low for me. I've got to see Oklahoma really continuing to rally and score big numbers against their opponents leading into when they get a chance to play the Longhorns. So minus 14, it just doesn't seem like it's enough.
Well, everything's gone, perfect for them so far this year. So I think the problem here for Oklahoma is I still don't know how good their defense is. I think Emory Jones, who started off at Florida, then goes to Arizona State. Now he's at Cincinnati. I think he's going to do enough. The moment isn't going to be too big enough for him. Also, I love their receiver, Xavier Henderson. He was down here at Columbus High. He goes to Florida. This guy, I thought he was one of the best receivers I've ever seen in South Florida. I thought that Florida misused him. He's already had a couple games where he's approached 200 yards receiving. I think he's going to have a big game. He's 6'3". He can jump. He can get up about 14, 15 feet. His vertical leap is he can touch the top of the backboard. So I think he's going to make some big plays here. First conference game for Cincinnati in their history in the Big 12. They'll be up for that game here. True. And I'm still not sold. They got like 4 receivers that they play most of the time. They play 6 receivers and 4 running backs. They got to hone in on a couple guys here. And I think it's going to be a little bit different. When everything looks perfect for Oklahoma, that's where they have problems here. I think they escaped 34-30. Oklahoma has trouble.
Wow. How about that?
Yep.
Wouldn't mind seeing that at
Wow.
all. All right, Lee, before I ask you about your free play and we tell the people how to get involved with Paramount Sports and all of the great things you have going on over there, how about the game in Waco, Texas at Baylor? The Longhorns 3-0 for the first time since 2012. They're ranked number 3 in the country, their highest ranking since the end of the 2009 season. Texas fans obviously excited about what this team can do. Meanwhile, Baylor, how about your Texas State Bobcats beating the crap out of them a couple of weeks ago? They're 1-2. Their only win came against an FCS team. Texas, a 15-point favorite. Can the Longhorns cover up I-35 in Waco?
You know, I think that they can. I mean, how do you respect a quarterback named Sawyer? First name Sawyer. Sawyer Robertson is just not good enough. I mean, 10 for 22 last week for 113 yards here. This is not a talented Baylor team. I thought the last coaching staff did a great job with what they have. The talent level has fallen off here. Texas they got to attack from the word go. They did not come prepared mentally to play last week. I think they're going to be up for Big 12 play here. Now, if they don't, then we might see some problems here. And then maybe we start saying maybe, the Alabama win wasn't so great. So I think they're going to come to play here. And I think it's going to be field day. You guys have field day when you were younger?
Oh, yeah.
Field day here. I like Texas 42-17.
The field day.
That sounds like field day to me. You're absolutely right about that, Lee. This is a group that has a lot to play for every week now for the Texas Longhorns, being number 3 in the nation. They don't need to be going downward. They need to keep moving upward as these teams, with the Georgias of the world struggling. Michigan will have their coach back. They still got to play Penn State and Ohio State to go. Texas has to take care of their business in the beginning, because once again, Lee, I want to say this. I thought Sark won the Alabama game, and I thought this head coach is going to have to win 2 games during the course of the year. Now, he won the Alabama game. He did things that really helped his team win, his talented team. They executed. I don't expect Baylor to be a game that Sark has the win for the Texas Longhorn. I expect this team to win that football game.
I agree with you. 100%.
I do too. All right, Lee, before we let you go, your free play. This is an interesting one, man. Kansas, BYU. The Longhorns will play KU next weekend in Austin. They'll get BYU here in Austin a little bit later in the season. BYU coming off of an impressive win at Arkansas. Kansas is 3-0. Free play. If folks want to get your pick for this one, where can they find you?
Yep. So is this going to be a blowout or a trap game? So we're going to find out real quick. You want to get this game for free, be one of the first 10 callers. Call 800-400-9741. And on Saturday, tomorrow, I've got my college football underdog shocker going. I think there's a line that's off more than a touchdown in a college football game. We're 25-12 this year. You want to hop on board? Baker's Dozen, 13 games Saturday and Sunday, just $97. Or how about 2 weeks? 2 weeks of our phone service, just $127. One place, ParamountSports.com.
Oh, yes. The Baker Dozen. I love that. And the underdog special. Lee, great stuff. We really appreciate it. We'll give a shout out to Joe Cohen and Son Jewelers, but any Bill stories you've got for us this week?
I think he's been quiet, unless if Texas A&M loses this game, I think it's it. I mean, he totally disappears on us, but I have a feeling they're gonna have a romp there in College Station, and he's gonna be whooping and hollering and whatever they do at Texas
and hugging
Station.
each other and stuff, and swaying and moving and stuff. Yeah, I love that.
When they win, when they're on a roll, I start getting texts. He doesn't sleep much, like 4:10, 4:15 in the morning. I mean, they're rolling in one after another. When they're losing after the Miami game,
ghost.
He totally disappeared.
Amazing. Lee, you're the best. We'll talk next week.
Have a good weekend, man.
Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. And yes, shout out to our sponsor of the weekly Lee Sterling segment, Joe Cohen and Son Jewelers. Hey, you don't need to know diamonds or jewelry or watches. You just need to know Bill Cohen and his staff at Joe Cohen and Son. Dad always said, you have to have a great doctor. You have to have a great lawyer. You have to have a great jeweler. Well, Joe Cohen and Son, they're the great jeweler that you have been looking for. Bill is your guy. I'm telling you, these guys have been in business for more than 140 years in downtown Austin. They're right there at 6th and Congress. They are the very best at what they do, and they'll treat you right. That's the difference at Joe Cohen and Son Jewelers. Like, there are a lot of jewelry stores that have a lot of pieces you can buy, but the difference is the service, the customer care you are going to get, the honesty, the integrity. Every single time you go in there, whatever you need done, they've got you. Bill is a great guy, even though he's an Aggie fan. Great dude. He will take care of you every time you go in there. Plus, they've got free and convenient downtown parking. I'm telling you, I got a battery out in one of my watches. I got to go see Bill at some point soon to get that bad boy fixed. If it's something like that, but of course, if you're looking for an engagement ring, a nice gift for your loved one, whatever, they've got it all. Massive selection, but more importantly, they are amazing people who are going to take care of you all of the time. Go see Bill at Joe Cohen and Son Jewelers, and we thank them for their support of Texas sports unfiltered.
You know, they're such fabulous people. You know, when I first became a grandfather, I got all my granddaughters these music boxes, and Bill Cohen and Cohen's down there got me these boxes. They ordered these boxes, and I would put these specialized silver coins every Christmas. That's what I'd give. Instead of just wasting money, I gave them the coins, and they'd put in there. They still had the jewelry boxes, and they love them. I mean, those folks will do anything that you need for them to do. That's how great they are. That's why they've been around so long and been so successful.
Absolutely.